I was seated on a bench in a public park after a long day's work in town. This was a common place where my friends and I could wait for one another for a planned evening. On that particular Friday, my friend and I had planned to attend an evening party at one of our friends' house on a nearby street. My mind was busy wondering what all these idlers were doing at the park. Do they not have something more constructive to do? I wondered it. A moment later, a middle-aged man came holding a document in his right hand. He was followed by two joyous and playful boys, probably 2.5 years apart. The old one seemed to be around 8 years, while the younger one around 6 years. The man approached the bench where I was seated and calmly sat down. He looked disturbed, and within a short while he lit a cigarette and started smoking thoughtfully. At the time, his sons were running haphazardly, causing a disturbance with their shouts and laughter. Their father seemed less concerned with their behavior, and his focus was on the cigarette he was smoking. At some point, the boys started playing on the bench where I was seated. The younger kid stepped on my white shoes and continued with his play unapologetically. I was agitated and decided to confront the boys since their father was less concerned. Why are you so careless, kid? Don't you realize this is not a playground? Shame on you, I yelled. I then turned my anger to their father and angrily asked him why he was not doing a better job of controlling his children. At first, the man didn't even respond, which caused my anger to escalate. After a minute of silence, the man turned his face towards me and said, "I'm sorry, son." He continued, "We are right from the hospital, and the two boys don't realize they have lost their mother, and I do not know how to tell them." I was speechless and equally ashamed for overacting. "I'm sorry for the loss, sir. It must be a rough time now for you, but all will be well," I said, looking at his face from an angle. "Sure," said the man. "Cancer is such a difficult disease to handle," he said. His tone was so touching, and his pain was evident. After around 10 minutes, he decided to go home since it was getting late. I offered to escort him and the two boys to the bus terminal as a show of concern, and apologized to the kid I had confronted. On my way back to the park, I realized how different life can be to various people. I realized the importance of understanding a situation before reacting. On this day, I learned that I judged people based on my life experiences. I tended to criticize harshly the people I deemed below my standard of anticipated life. However, the encounter at the park compelled me to have a complete change how I approach my understanding of other people. For instance, things may not be as obvious as they look, and listen to other people can help me understand a common situation from a different perspective. In my case, I viewed the people at the park as beggars and idlers, but maybe they were meditating about their next step in life. This was a turnaround experience that promoted me to be tolerant of friends, family, and even strangers. I have since been less judicious because I began understanding life from a wider perspective. For instance, things may not as obvious as they look, and listening to other people can help me understand a common situation from a different perspective. In my case, I viewed the people at the park as beggars and idlers, but maybe they were meditating about their next step in life. This was a turn-around experience that promoted me to be tolerant of friends, family, and even strangers. I have since been less judicious because I began understanding life from a wilder perspective.